I'm just thinking about the building that you're situated in,
Yeah.
and that we're kind of doing this interview in, Moonshot.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that Moonshot was born out of a vision, a very kind of clear vision of a group of people. And as I understood that vision, it really coincides with the work that we've recently done at Ubele around kind of having a place to call home, because Moonshot was kind of almost born out of Sybil Phoenix's call
Absolutely.
for the black community in
Yeah.
Lewisham. We need a place that is ours.
Yeah.
We need a place to call home. Do you see the kind of tie-up between you and Moonshot and what it is? And definitely.
Definitely. I mean, I think Mrs. Phoenix really, for her, I think it was about trying to address the kind of unmet needs of young black people in the community. But in a way that was about uplifting them as well, not simply just going, oh, here's a space we could just come and play games, but there was learning. There was programs for young mothers. There was dominoes. There was football. There was all of those kind of cultural things that these young people could get involved in. I think that there were courses being run in the space as well. So there was arts, there was culture, and it was black people doing it for themselves.
Right. Its other significance, of course, is the people that grew and from Moonshot, and the people that, you know, we talk about Sybil Phoenix. I know that Baroness Rose Howells was kind of a part-time youth worker here and on the management committee. That a whole range of people kind of came out of this space.
Yeah, and I think this space became, I mean, I really see this space as an historic building for this community, for the black community. And I think that, you know, the Moonshot was here in a time that in 1981 with the Moon Cross Fire, and this building was
the centre.
Significant to that. It was a space where the victims and the families were able to come into a space where it's non-judgmental, and they could kind of just talk about what was happening with them and how they were going to take the whole process forward. The march that happened, the Black People's Day of Action, started out in the park, and that started in this space. So it was a very significant building, and we totally understood that. We understood that, you know, that we were kind of riding on the backs of these people and these events that had happened. And we wanted to make sure that whatever we were doing here carried that philosophy with us, which is about the culture, which is about uplifting young people, middle-aged people, adults, elders, really just a real shared artistic and cultural experience in the space.
And I suppose, you know, in 1980, blah, 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 when the new building came to life.
This building as it stands now.
Came to life. 81?
No. This was in 79, 80, the local people, along with, there was some regeneration happening in the locality, in Deptford specifically, and along with the local people, because the original building, which was just across, got burnt down.
Right.
And so with some regeneration money and the local people they had the scheme where they would pay for a brick. So I think that's why there is this real passion that like people feel that they have ownership of this building because they pay for the brick.
I remember, I have a story about a friend of mine who was the manager for a very brief amount of time, another dancer, in fact.
Right.
And she came and she found it really difficult to contend with people's sense of ownership of the space and Lewisham's sense of ownership of the space. And it was difficult to kind of marry those two things because the people, this is our building, this is how we run it.
Absolutely.
Why do you think you can tell us what to do with it? But at that time, kind of ownership might have meant we had a management committee that looked after it, or we had trustees that were responsible for the vision. As we're kind of moving forward in 2024, and we're seeing and learning from what has happened up until now, is that ownership means freehold. Ownership means that nobody can take it away from us. Ownership means that we embed who we are in a place absolutely permanently by making it legally ours as well. And so are IRIE involved in that journey with the community?
Most definitely. I think that, you know, assets and ownership, that's something as Black communities we are still waiting for. We own very little in our communities, and even though our lives and our history is embedded in places that we still have no ownership of. I think that the issue around community and building assets for your community is hugely important. And I just think the way society is going at the moment, that if we're not looking to own and embed, especially land and property for ourselves, then I think so much will get lost in terms of who we are and our presence within our local communities.